You might be surprised how many Americans actually invest in stocks. And the good news, if you're already putting money in the market, you're doing what most people wish they'd done years ago, setting yourself up for long-term success. Many adults don't start until much later, or they invest without a plan. By starting early and investing often, even in small amounts, you're doing something rare, giving yourself a head start that can compound into real financial freedom down the road. Surprisingly, about 62% of U.S. adults currently have money invested in the stock market, whether individually or jointly with a spouse through individual stocks, stock mutual funds, or self-directed 401 kiloseconds or IRA. At first glance, that sounds like a lot, right? More than half of adults are participating in the stock market, which is great. But here's the catch. That number hasn't really budged in decades. Dig a little deeper and you'll see something important. Just owning stock doesn't mean everyone is building wealth. Far from it. Most people aren't investing enough. They aren't consistent and they aren't thinking long term. Let's focus on younger adults because this is where things get really interesting. About 44% of Americans aged 18 to 29 already own stocks. Nearly half of young adults. That's historic. A decade ago, far fewer were investing this early. And it's a sign younger generations are catching on faster than ever. That's impressive, so much so that some are even calling Gen Z the most financially savvy generation yet. Getting in early is one of, if not the smartest money move. At the same time, more than half of young Americans aren't in the stock market. It's understandable. Most young people don't have a pile of extra cash to plan for decades down the road. But the ones that are making it work are setting themselves up for serious rewards later. Even starting with just $1 or $200 a month can make a huge difference over time as long as they keep going. Investing numbers are definitely trending up for young people, and it makes sense why. They're looking around at the world they're inheriting and seeing just how expensive everything has become. Homes cost more than ever. Cars that used to be $20,000 are now $60,000. And raising a family carries a price tag that feels heavier every year. Young adults are noticing this reality and instead of ignoring it, they're taking action early to put themselves in a better position down the road. They understand that if they want the freedom to buy the house they want, drive the car they want, and raise a family without constant financial stress, they need to start building wealth now. And that's smart because time is their biggest advantage. A dollar invested in your 20s has decades to grow. And that's where the magic happens. At an average 8% return, that single dollar could turn into more than $20 by retirement. Think about it. A $100 today could quietly become $2,000 without you lifting another finger. That's why every small choice matters. Skipping one $5 coffee isn't just about saving $5 today. It's like buying yourself $100 in the future. People who grasp this concept are smart because it reshapes how they view spending. Dropping $1,000 on a car payment every month, that's not really $1,000. It's like giving up $20,000 your future self could have had. And when you start thinking this way, every purchase suddenly looks different. Thoughtful people pause and ask, how long will it take me to earn $1,000? Before making a purchase, translating that price into hours of work. At $25 per hour, that's 40 hours, an entire week of work just to cover the cost, and that's before taxes. Understanding this makes spending or saving far more tangible, and starting to invest early says a lot about a person's mindset. It shows the kind of habits and mentality that often lead to building real wealth. It shows discipline, the ability to consistently set money aside instead of spending it all. It demonstrates patience, a willingness to let investments grow through market ups and downs instead of chasing quick wins and losing their mind when things drop. It highlights long-term vision because early investors are thinking about where they'll be in 5, 10, 20, or even 30 years, not just next weekend. And it reveals an understanding of delayed gratification, making small sacrifices today in exchange for much larger rewards later. These aren't just helpful habits, they're the foundation of becoming wealthy. But here's the thing. These traits are rare, especially early in life. Most people don't start thinking long-term until much later. And by the time they do, they've already lost one of the greatest advantages anyone can have: time. The truth is, Many young investors aren't pouring thousands into the market every month. They're starting small. $50 here, $100 there. But that's not the point. What matters is the mindset. It signals awareness. It shows they understand what's coming and are preparing for it before life gets more complicated. Compared to their peers, that mindset alone puts them miles ahead. And here's where things get interesting. More young people are investing than ever before. But that hasn't translated into big wealth yet. The median net worth for Americans under 35 is just $39,000, which means half of young adults are below that number. And that's household net worth, not individual. If you're consistently investing, even small amounts, you're already setting yourself up to surpass that figure while many of your peers are still trying to catch up. And that's the opportunity here. You don't need to dump thousands into the market every month to make real progress. A few hundred here and there, combined with avoiding debt and steering clear of expensive purchases that lose significant value, can quietly put you ahead. The real difference isn't how much you start with, it's how early you start and how consistent you are. And here's the thing, that $39,000 figure only tells part of the story. It doesn't reflect the power of compounding or how quickly things can accelerate once you start investing early. Net worth doesn't grow in a straight, predictable line. It snowballs. So, two people sitting at the same $39,000 today could be in completely different financial worlds 5 or 10 years from now. At first, your contributions are pretty much everything. Over time, your investments start earning more than you're adding yourself. That's when the snowball effect kicks in. And it's why those who begin early often end up in a completely different place financially compared to those who wait. Savvy investors know that the money they put into the market isn't just sitting there for some far-off retirement. It's working for them now. Every dollar invested adds flexibility, freedom, and options well before age 80. For instance, a healthy investment account can make it easier to take a career leap. Whether that's leaving a job that doesn't inspire you or launching a side business without putting your household at risk. It can also open the door to retiring earlier than 65. On top of that, having a solid financial cushion dramatically reduces stress and gives peace of mind, which is something non-investors simply don't understand. In short, investing early doesn't just build wealth over time. It buys you choices and security today. To see the power of early investing, let's look at an example. Investor A starts at age 25 and invests $200 per month until age 65, earning 8% annually. Investor B waits until age 35 and invests the same $200 per month. Until age 65 at the same rate. By retirement, Investor A will have accumulated about $698,000 while Investor B will have only $298,000 even though both contributed the same monthly amount and Investor A got only a 10-year head start. The key difference, time. That's why starting early matters so much. If you're in your 20s or 30s and investing consistently, you're already doing something most people wish they had done. In fact, one of the biggest financial regrets people have later in life isn't that they invested too little, it's that they didn't start sooner. They look back at things they bought that brought short-lived value, cars that lost half of their value in a year, gadgets and appliances that became obsolete in months, and furniture that gathered dust. All of these purchases add up, and in hindsight, they realize they could have been letting that money quietly work in the background. Wealth lost isn't about missing a huge windfall. It's about losing time in the market. The one thing you can't get back. And we're seeing a shift. Younger investors are paying attention. They're saying, I'm not waiting until 45 to get serious. They realize you don't need thousands to start. Even small contributions set the foundation, and as income grows, those contributions can scale. The mindset is shifting from I'll start someday to I'll start today. And that simple change can alter an entire financial future. Now, as we look at people in their 30s and 40s, stock ownership climbs. Roughly 65% of Americans between 30 and 49 own stocks. But don't mistake that for being set. A lot of these people cash out early, get impatient, and restart the cycle, hitting the reset button on compounding every few years. Here's what most people miss. Yes, 62% of adults own stocks, but 38% don't. And among those who do invest, many are making major mistakes, panicking during market dips, cashing out to buy stuff, or investing it poorly. If you're investing regularly, even modestly, you're already ahead. And your advantage isn't just measured in dollars. It's in habits, mindset, and long-term vision. You're building options most people won't have. And that advantage compounds year after year, choice after choice. So, here's the takeaway. Record numbers of young people are investing, often out of necessity. The need to not fall behind. The ones who stay consistent, avoid panic selling, and let compounding work quietly in the background are positioning themselves for lifelong financial freedom.